Philip.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, family, for being here. And how's it going? Good to see some familiar faces. See some new faces. Very nice. Today I'm going to talk about automation, making money while you're asleep. Now, I hope you don't take this as encouragement to fall asleep right now. I'll try to fill it with some relevant content for you guys to enjoy. So, as Irina mentioned, I have a little bit of experience with sales in my jobs at Google, at Rocket Internet, and various other startups. And when I look at the B2B sales framework, I always see startups to go for an organizational structure that looks something like that. You have sales development reps who get a list of prospects, then they cold call those leads, and their job is to get appointments with the sales executive, who then turns those leads into real customers, paying customers, who then turn them over to customer success managers. Now, a lot of companies I work with have this golden ratio of 3-to-1. You have 9 sales development reps, 3 sales executives, and 1 poor customer success manager. Now, today I would like to present the case that take the first couple of minutes to talk about what can be done about the sales development reps, what in my opinion are much more efficient approaches, where you can use automation to get better results, and then follow up with some current experiences that I have at my time at Jodel, talking about the customer success management position. Now, sales is all about trust. You need to convince the potential customers to trust you, your company. As a startup CEO, as a head of sales of a startup, it can be quite a difficult challenge to go and think, okay, there's so many companies. I have a great product, but I need to convince those companies that they actually want my product, that they actually want me. And now there are a lot of different companies out there, and a very smart man came up with this technology adoption curve. And when we look at all the companies, I would make the case that only in 16% of the chances we have a chance of actually potentially getting a sale done. That is, if we get to talk to the innovators, if we get to talk to the early adopters, who are even willing to consider buying from a startup. Now, I want to make the case that going out there and doing cold calling is not the most effective approach. Why? Because of two crucial reasons. Number one, it is very difficult to get that innovator, that early adopter, on the phone right on your call. Number two, every successful startup that I see in Berlin that operates effectively has a very good CRM system. And one thing those hunters, those cold callers are great at is picking up the phone, making a phone call, but I see a lot of people struggling actually putting in the data into that CRM system, which makes it very hard for startups to proceed and to succeed in the long run. So what I've been doing with my startups has been a very, very strong focus going away from outbound sales calls to focusing on inbound strategies. Now, I'm just going to briefly cover the ones which have worked most successfully for me. Those are 3 ones. Number 1 is events and conferences such as this one. Just get the name of my company out there, Jodel. So if you're interested, ads@jodel.com. So that's events and conferences. Number 2, PR, getting featured in articles. But again, you don't want to go to Gründerszene, you don't want to go to online marketing rockstars, be featured there. You actually want to go where your target audience is. You actually want to be featured on those websites where your audience is sitting. Number 3, which is kind of what I grew up with, is performance marketing, online marketing. We have the paid channels, we have the unpaid channels, and I think especially in B2B sales, one of the channels that has to be leveraged by any B2B startup is LinkedIn right now. I think it's the most underpriced platform that's out there. AdWords is okay. Facebook is also completely undervalued. You can do amazing things on the B2B side with Facebook. And then we have some other things such as SEO and emailing. Now, when we go for these inbound strategies, we basically have to go same inbound or outbound. We have the goal to come up with a very good, filtered, qualified lead list for our sales executive to execute and close that deal. So our main goals for that lead list, what we actually want to do when we get those people onto our platform, is number one, that they create a login onto your platform, onto your website, or whichever services that you sell. Number two, which are very relevant, is sign up to an email list, follow you on social media. Those steps are incredibly relevant, and every good marketer is taking care of that and is optimizing for these three outcomes. I'm currently working at Checkpoint Charlie, and I like to go for lunch to the Rocket Tower, where there's a small little Mexican restaurant. And when you listen really carefully, you hear those rocket marketers comparing the lead sizes, and they're comparing lists and saying, okay, I got the bigger list and I got the bigger lead size. And all of that is very impressive, but the main point that I would like to make tonight is that people are not leveraging that lead list well enough. And I can talk from great experience here, having worked at Rocket, and I did one of the biggest mistakes that I did in my sales career was actually at my time at Rocket. I joined the company, and on day one, we had a sales force of 2 people. Our entire marketing strategy, our entire sales strategy was inbound, which I really appreciated. It was basically all AdWords, which Rocket traditionally is very, very good at, and we acquired a lot of leads. Problem was, we had 2 people, and we got 30 to 50 leads incoming every single day. And we could not segment those leads. Those leads were just companies on our spreadsheet, and we had to call them up and just call them up and waste a lot of sales energy onto leads which are not as efficient. Now, on my second week, what we've done, we've actually implemented a process where customers, let me tell you what I did. So I was a head of sales at a Rocket portfolio company called Instafreight. We were a B2B logistics startup, so people could sign up onto the platform and book a transport. Now we had 30 to 50 a day booking a transport. And what was crucial is that we didn't understand the potential of the customer. What we developed was a self-serving a booking tool where they could just book the transport themselves, but only up to an amount of $500. Now, what that allowed us to do was segment our customers really carefully. And however, we did one very, very big mistake at Rocket. Yes, we built that tool that was pretty smart. Yes, we signed them onto our platform. That was also cool. The next move, what we did, was to build drip email campaigns. Person logs onto our website, does a sign up. If he has not booked in the next day, he gets an email. Okay, he hasn't booked within 3 days, he gets another email. Hasn't booked in 5 days, gets another email with a call to action, okay, book now. Now, why this is a very broken system and not enough people pay attention to it, I would like to make that case clear with an offline example, what is happening in retail and fashion. A couple years ago, I was in Los Angeles, and there's not too much I love about the States right now, but there's one thing that I really, really appreciate, and that is actually the in-store purchasing experience when you go into shopping. And what they do is you go into the store, and immediately a sales assistant comes to ask you if they can help you. Now, that might be annoying for you, but it is such a great sales technique, because the number one indicator if a person actually purchases an item in a store is if he has tried that item on before. So all these stores are optimizing for people to trying on their clothes, not to go and purchase that item of clothing. And that is something that I feel like is completely overlooked in the startup environment. Whenever I get an email, I get a call to action to buy my Zalando shoes, to buy my whatever immediately right now. Instead, what we should have focused on at Rocket is find actions that predict conversions. So that is something, for example, that I'm doing now at Jodel. I'm trying to encourage actions to drive conversions. I recently joined at Jodel, and we had the same problem that there were startups who are, there are companies who are willing to spend a couple $100 a day, and there are companies that are willing to spend tens of $1,000s a day. And we had to segment those. And what we've now built is a self-serving onboarding ad system where people can book these ads themselves without us calling them. Now, right now is my chance to optimize for exactly that. People coming to our platform, and instead of driving them to purchase our ads, what we want to do is we want to drive them to take certain actions. Yes, okay, well, yeah, that's basically it for me today. Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I was just wondering, what was your CRM that you used to automate all the process, the sale process?
What was
a CRM tool? Was it HubSpot or something else?
Yeah, good question. So at Google we had our own CRM system. At Rocket we always use Salesforce. Rocket always uses Salesforce, and the one that I'm implementing now is HubSpot. There's actually amazing resources online where you can find how you make decisions on which CRM system to use.
Hi there. Great talk, thanks a lot. You kind of spurred curiosity at the end, saying that you went for certain actions. What were those actions? Can you share, and were they the actions you guessed straight away, and what was the process for working out what the actions should be?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I wasn't sure if I have enough time to cover. So let's go back to the time at Rocket, right? And we did not optimize for those actions. We just optimized for conversions. Now, thinking now back, okay, what are the actions that people actually should take in order to convert? Something that's very reasonable to look at is the amount of times people actually sign into your platform. So they do the initial sign up, and then 3 days later they haven't booked. Now the person that has logged in 5 times during that time is much more likely to convert in the future than a person who's never logged in again. Another big indicator would be to look at how many routes, how many prices they've been looking at, how much they've been playing around with the platform. That was at Rocket. For example, at Jodel, what we have right now is that I don't know how many of you guys know Jodel? Has anyone ever advertised on Jodel before? Okay, all right, we're launching now. It's okay. It's okay. So on Jodel, we've launched our self-serving ad tool in Scandinavia. It's not quite launched yet in Germany. And one of the biggest predictors for people to book Jodel is if they are playing around with the commenting function. So when you put advertisement online, the community engages with your ads and comments on it. Now, if you as the advertiser make it possible for you to engage with that community as well, the likelihood that you're going to book again is going to increase dramatically. Those are just some of the factors that we're going to look at. Yeah.
Hi, James here. Can you tell us a little bit about the drip campaigns that you set up?
Sure. So what I've been doing at Rocket, the drip campaigns that we set up, we actually use a tool called MailChimp, which still is my preferred tool right now. Yeah, I mean, we set up a lot of different campaigns, all based on did customers book or book not before. Again, not targeting the actions, how many actions they've undertaken, but they would essentially, at first, if they signed up, didn't do any booking, they would get a drip campaign 1 day, 3 day, 7 day, 14 day, 30 day, with varying content, always with the call to action to book. And then we would have different drip campaigns depending on the amounts of bookings they would do. Which I think is definitely not the effective strategy, but that's what we've done in the past. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a question. What are you doing to not be annoying for the customers? Because, you know, like Instagram, like it's every second post is like ads, and you know, it's people tired of it. How you can solve this problem? Because you mentioned this inbound is very important for you, but where is the balance and how you can solve this problem?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, it's one of the big ones that Facebook, Instagram, Google had to figure out, how to not lose your community over ads. And our strategy going forward right now is that we only serve 1 ad impression per session to just not annoy the user and to simply go very smoothly go into the ad strategy. But what is beautiful about Jodel and the very, very fun challenge right now, just in Germany we have 1.5 million users. What this allows you to do is you can A/B test a lot of things. So what you can do, you can just take a subset of 10% of your entire user base, and to some you show 2 ads, 4 ads, 6 ads, and you can simply monitor the drop-off and see when people are getting annoyed. I mean, it depends. It really depends what your startup is. If you have a cool and sexy product, I think the number one thing is to get featured in articles, to go onto events. If you don't, it seems like paid advertisement is your number one way to go to get inbound.
Another question about, you mentioned LinkedIn is the most underrated tool today in sales.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that? Is that just paid ads, or can you tell us a bit more? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of paid, I think most startups are actually using it. Most companies are actually using it. Why I love it so much, I come from a Google AdWords background, where you have a very, very poor targeting of your target audience, right? And what I love about LinkedIn is that you can go specifically after the job title and you can create very, very specific content. I'm all about running tests, running one big campaign in the beginning, seeing which segment actually converts, and creating very, very specific content for that segment. With one of my companies, we ran an overall campaign, and it was a B2B startups, but people from the industry of machinery, machinery automation actually converted the best. So then you can create specific advertisement content that is designed for that industry. So there you can really get your CPC numbers down and your cost per conversion down. There's a lot of cool tricks that you can do on LinkedIn, which is where you don't have to pay for. And basically what you want to do is to, connect to your target audience. You actually want to connect and send them an invite. But one of the most leveraged tools at Rocket Internet, and I'm sure at many other B2B companies, is to crawl the entire LinkedIn and crawl every single job position that has a job title CMO. And you can very simply then get that in an Excel file, and you turn that into email addresses with another tool. There are a lot of very good tools for that. If you're interested, I can share that after the presentation.
Hi, Phil.
Hi, Isaiah.
Great presentation, and
thank you so much
for the awesome insights. My question is, how does your strategy impact the size of sales teams? Are you working with smaller sales teams, or are you shifting resources to focus on different parts of the sales cycle?
Yeah, good question, thank you. It definitely impacts the size of my sales teams, and I am focusing very, very much of my efforts to minimize the outbound sales that I do. And for the inbound, you really need one very, very good person who is good at LinkedIn AdWords and all of that. And you need your account executives to go to these events and give talks and be featured in magazines. Also, what I'm doing now is I'm working very closely together with product teams. So I'm not just necessarily taking the sales force from my sales team, but go to product guys and try to implement products that will help me convert the inbound that I get in.
Hi, thanks for the talk. How exactly did you measure which actions drive to conversions? So you mentioned that when the advertiser comments on it or has the commenting tool, he's much more likely to advertise again. How did you measure that? Which tools did you use?
Yes, I mean, most companies, I would guess, have their, I mean, we have our internal tracking data. So we can just track completely everything that customers do from our internal tracking. Yeah, I'm sure there are tools such as Google Analytics which you can use, but I would really strongly suggest to have an internal team where you can completely track all of the clicks, every single action that's happening on your website. And I would suggest to have that in-house and don't use external tools.
Okay, thanks.
So thanks a lot for sharing. It was like very insightful. I was wondering, where is the sales funnel? I mean, there is no prospecting phase, there are no deals in discussion, no deals in negotiation. Seems like you replaced it with a user journey.
Mm-hmm.
you just said it. I mean, monitor all the clicks that you're collecting and check all the actions. So I was wondering, it's like, are we moving the whole discussion about sales to a marketing sales automation? But can it be applied like to all businesses?
I would love to be challenged. I would love to talk if you find a business where it can't be applied to. I think especially in the prospecting stage, most people work with lead list and you just do the outbound sales calls. I think that is ineffective, but it's a valid strategy. When it comes to actually closing the big ticket items, I am just arguing that sales automation, that all that data that you collect will be a catalyst for your sales executive to close that big ticket item. But you need to understand who is a customer that actually is willing to spend 50K, 100K on your product, and you will find that out by tracking their behavior on your platform.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. And if you have more questions, come after.
Thank you.
Que la famille.